Dementia Researcher with a blog and a rating.
Moving forward from disappointment. So, I was unsuccessful in a grant application. That's not big news. We've all been unsuccessful and we have all become better at talking about these disappointments. What I find particularly galling is the process we go through and the time investments we make which lead to these rejections. I know intellectually that onwards is the wisest plan, yet I also have a deep desire to stamp my feet and throw my toys out of the pram. So I thought I'd use my blog to debrief and de-escalate my minor tantrum. Now, despite having a postdoctoral fellowship, I've been advised to keep applying for grants and awards. So this year I dug in and went for several things. In March, I submitted an application for a grant. It was a stage 1 application. In July, I submitted an application for a small seed fund grant from a charity. And in September, I went for an internal application for a small grant with the uni. I was also a co-app on 3 other things. I didn't expect much, as these all seemed like fishing exercises, but also healthy ways of flexing that grant writing muscle to keep it limber. Grant writing is a very different style of writing to other writing. It feels like a kind of sales pitch, like you're weaving evidence in with a persuasive business plan. And alongside the sell approach, you need to get a finance plan in, approved, contract sign-off and managerial sign-off. Anyway, in July, I found out that March stage 1 application had gotten through to stage 2. I was quite pleased, despite the need to do quite a bit more work. I had to revisit and fine-tune the finance section, resubmit it, get it signed off internally, expand my 2-page proposal to 8, provide lots more detail about my collaborators, and get department finance, contracts and collaborators, 5 of them, to sign off. Phew. In the meantime, I found out that the 2-page application to the charity hadn't quite met their expectations, but that they'd be happy to consider a response to their main concerns. So I wrote a new 3-page letter. Unfortunately, those 3 co-applications I mentioned earlier were also unsuccessful, a disappointing outcome, especially as they'd all felt to be exciting, novel and really hot topics that were directly related to the specific grant cause they'd been submitted to. Anyway, in September, I found out that the charity had been happy with my new letter and gave me just under £1,000. Woo, exciting to have someone else who felt they could invest in me. Even small amounts feel like a great commitment of trust. Around the same time, I found out about the UCL Equality and Diversity small grants, and feeling energised by the recent success, I went for it. A 4-page application, no finance or departmental sign-off needed, phew. Come November, I received an email with a long list of what seemed like super positive reviews of my July stage 2 application, with several specific concerns. I was feeling hopeful, and I spent a good deal of time over the 1-week period I was given, which also happened to fall in my annual leave, on how best to articulate my ideas. No sign-off needed, but all the wonderful collaborators continued to contribute to the process. At the end of November, I found out that my UCL Equality and Diversity grant was funded, another £2,000. Now for the final waiting game. I'd been told I would find out about the larger grant in December. Over that time, several colleagues received emails. I waited and waited. In January, a couple of days after the new year, I received an email advising me that my application had not been successful. Anticlimax. Now, I know I'm starting from a really privileged place. I'm 1.5 years into a 5-year part-time fellowship. Thanks for listening, folks. I just feel much better. A psychiatry colleague I worked with once advised that yes, do whinge, do feel anxious and do feel cross. Give yourself permission, then get on with the day. I also hold a 2-day-per-week permanent contract as a lecturer at UCL. I do a job I really enjoy and I get paid for it. New year, new goals. For the forthcoming year, I plan to keep applying. I plan to keep knocking on the door and creating new ideas for research projects. I've managed to acquire just under £3,000 this year. Next year, I'm going to aim for more.
Thank you for listening. Join the Dementia Research bloggers and share your own views.